Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Gehrman. How are you today?
Yeah, a little bit under the weather, but still can do the webinar. So full commitment, right?
Nice. Well, welcome everyone to the Oil and Fat webinar. Yeah, indeed. You told me 3 minutes ago that you're feeling a bit sick. So we appreciate that you're here for your audience, right? So
Exactly.
that's nice. Thank you very much. But yeah, let's kick off. We have, of course, some topics on the list, some interesting things happening in the market. For example, I think palm oil prices have dropped quite significantly, and so we're going to, of course, discuss about that. Palm oil S&D, an Indonesian B50 situation, the impact of US, China, you know, president meetings last week, and yeah, many other topics. So perhaps we can kick off with the palm oil. We normally like to start with palm oil topics, just to follow the same structure as usual. Can you explain a bit more, Gehrman, what has happened with palm oil prices that recently have dropped quite significantly, to be honest?
Yes, of course, Maria. So I'm gonna share my screen. All right. So, and then I'm going to go to our future section. So I think I need to make this one smaller. All right. Palm oil, I'm gonna put, of course, you can see there was quite a steep, quite a significant decline in the price. So in dollars, it was around $50 decrease just in a few days. And basically, as I put in the previous report, we expected a price pressure because of the higher output in Malaysia for palm oil and also slower buying activity. But to be honest with you, we didn't expect such a sharp drop. I'm going to be very honest with you. And I think part of this, let's say, strong drop is, of course, as I said, bearish S&D, but also some, let's say, not very good news around B50, or let's say some discussions that B50 in Indonesia might not happen. And also some numbers that people checked for Indian imports of palm oil, which didn't look great. Basically, that Indian demand is not looking too good. And also some worries about the Chinese demand. But I think, yeah, of course, bearish S&D, but also some, let's say, concerns around the B50 in Indonesia next year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you see any correlation, by the way, between what is happening in palm oil and what is happening also, for example, in dairy with butter and skim milk powder? Their prices are also going down quite a lot. And I think, for example, for cocoa, also the future market is now a bit more stable. So do you see any correlation between the different commodities, or not per se in this moment?
In this moment, no. So I would say this correlation normally happens when you have such big events as, for example, Trump-Xi meeting last week, which
Yeah.
impacted not all commodities, but for example, grains, largely various grains. But in this case, yeah, I don't see any specific correlation that filters
Okay.
into dairy market.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's good to know. Um, you said that yeah, you mentioned that Malaysia S&D is bearish, right? Can you elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, so basically every month, of course, we have pre-estimates of what MPOB organization in Malaysia will show in terms of S&D for the previous month, in this case, October. And basically, I saw various estimations. So, for example, Bloomberg said that ending stocks could have increased by 3.4%. So basically, we could have had a higher supply of palm oil in Malaysia in October. But also I saw some more bearish figures by other organizations and consultancies saying that one of them said that stocks could have increased even by 7%, which is very big if it materializes. Whereas, for example, one organization was more bearish about production as well. So some bearish numbers are popping up, which might be, hinting for high supply in Malaysia. So let's see what will be the numbers in 6-7 days when the official numbers come for palm oil. But also, as I said, Indian market is not looking great, and India is a big buyer of palm oil, which affects the benchmark. And it's not important just for India, because we have a lot of European clients who sometimes maybe don't understand why we talk about India, but India is the largest buyer of palm oil, right? And their moves affect the origin prices in Malaysia, which affects Europe in turn, and also US. So India, yeah, they slowed buying in September, and that was because palm oil price on CIF, but also in Indian domestic market was not very competitive. So, for example, when we check domestic Indian prices, people were buying more soybean oil because it was either on par or a little bit cheaper. So yeah, that was also another thing that could have contributed to the strong price drop, that India, which is a large buyer, slowed down buying in sorry, not in September, as I said, in October. Actually, apologies.
Okay, thank you for this. And I also heard some worries regarding the Indonesian B50 program implementation. Am I right?
Yeah, so as we discussed multiple times, B50 is the most important thing for palm oil markets next year. Again, for all the countries, for Europe, US as well. But of course, B50, for those who don't know, it's an increase in the biodiesel usage in Indonesia planned for the next year, which will absorb a lot more palm oil, by 3 million metric tons more than this year if it's implemented. This means there will be less palm oil for exports available, and bullish for prices. But the thing is that some, let's say, texts and articles and opinions circulated recently between people that B50 might not actually happen next year. So it was planned to start, I think, in June, July next year, right? But for example, our acquaintances at Glenelg Economics, they shared an opinion with us that it might not happen even in 2026 at all, might happen only maybe in 2027 or later, because there is not enough capital to finance the program, because the program needs financing, and also the production capacity. So long story short, I saw some numbers very briefly for this year, and demand for biodiesel in Indonesia was always higher than supply. So production was not keeping up. They might not have even enough production capacity. So some of these, opinions circulated recently, and that created a lot of worries among people, and that's why you saw this huge, price drop. That some people do not believe that B50 will happen next year. But it's very important to keep in mind that in the following weeks, if government comes and says B50 will happen 100%, prices might jump again. So this B50, it will be a constant topic for the
A bit of a
emotions of the
speculation.
markets.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a very big, so it's the largest factor for the next year. If B50 is not happening, it will be more neutral to bearish for prices. If B50 is happening, yeah, it will be definitely bullish.
Interesting. And I also think it's quite nice that because of course, a lot of procurement people are in our audience, and clients, procurement teams in general. But it's important to also understand why we talk about B50, about India, about S&D. It's just much better, we believe, to explain why prices might go up or might go down, and give you all the explanation and all the regions and factors involved. So that's also what we try to do by involving India and fundamental data as well, which is of course available at Vesper. But I know sometimes we go right away to the prices, to the forecast, and it's also sometimes to put it's important to put things in context. So thanks Gehrman.
Of course. No, thanks for the elaboration. Yeah, and I think we have a question on the chat. Shall we address as
Oh,
some
perfect.
follow?
Yeah, of course.
All
Are you
right.
hearing are you hearing about sanctioned palm oil producers in Indonesia that are cash squeezed to pay fines and therefore pushing inventory in the market?
Yeah, basically, Gatien, there is this article that was circulated. I saw this article and I heard various opinions on this article because this article didn't have an author when I received it. So
Oh,
some
nice.
people said, smart people said it's not very true. So to be honest with you, it's a bit of a gray area at the moment. But basically, for those who don't know, in Indonesia, the government is now taking control of, let's say, illegal plantations. So they come to some plantations that maybe have some issues with the regulations, or maybe unofficial plantations, gray plantations, and they take the control over them. And everybody's, let's say, afraid that it will affect the production because they come under the government management in Indonesia, and maybe the government will not do a great job in terms of managing the plantations. But to be honest with you, it might be too soon to say if it will be bad for the production or not. And also, you said that they are short on cash and they need to push inventory to the market. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't received any confirmations. To be honest, a lot of people were skeptical on this article that was saying that government is fining companies, they're short on cash, they need to sell. To be honest, I haven't received firm confirmation on this yet. Plus, I heard from one large plantation today that companies, they do have some cash reserves to deal with fines if there are any. So to be honest, no confirmations yet that they have to sell palm oil actively now. So that's yeah. But we will keep an eye on this story with fines and plantation seizing. But to be honest, no specific facts yet.
Okay, thanks, Gehrman. Hope that answered the question. Yeah, so moving to this soybean complex, last week, Donald Trump met the Chinese President Xi, I think it's called. Was the
I think you say C.
Okay. See, sorry for to our Chinese friends for the pronunciation. What was the outcome of that meeting? Yeah, on the veg oil market.
Yes, so it was indeed, as you said, a big one, because China, especially for soybeans, but also for all the grains, and we have since a few weeks grains reports, which are
Yeah,
also
that's a good one. Also, everyone is already good reminder. Gehrman is also writing now the grains report every 2 weeks. Same structure as the veg oil that you are already familiar with. So every 2 weeks, you will have a Gehrman grains report in the analysis section on the platform. And for the veg oil, as usual, it will be weekly, every Tuesday evening. Yeah, thank you, Gehrman, for the reminder.
Yeah. Bi-weekly, exactly, every Tuesday evening, and there we include wheat flour, corn starch, as well as malting barley.
Super nice.
And soybean, exactly. But yeah, basically, China, of course, is the largest buyer of US soybeans. They haven't been buying for a while because of the politics. And then, after the meeting, US grains, also a bit of European grains, but especially soybean jumped a lot, as you can see on the graph. And that's because the American side said that China confirmed that they will commit to buying some of the US soybeans this quarter, but also, not just this quarter, but also next year and a few years. That was super important because soybeans, they've been piling in the United States because you cannot replace China as a buyer, whereas China, they can easily source. Not easily, of course, they have to pay more, but in terms of volumes, they can take the volumes from Brazil, Argentina, etc. But there was a confirmation, basically, that China will buy U.S. soybeans, which, as you can see, created a rally for the prices. But to be honest, they haven't signed yet. Let's see if they put the signature or not, because I think the US side now tends to rush with the conclusions. In my opinion, they always say, "Oh, it's been a great deal, everything's great." We concluded a great trade deal, but I think, yeah, they need to get the signature first because they've got a lot of sensitive topics to conclude with China.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, overall, the markets are optimistic. But it's worth to mention that still, I think China already bought a lot of soybeans from Brazil for this year. So it might mean that they can actually buy US soybeans, but not to the same extent as in the previous years. So maybe don't get too optimistic because yeah, US still might end up with higher soybean stocks,
Yeah.
at the end of the season. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's still the situation is definitely much more bullish than it was before.
And yeah, okay. Well, you replied a bit. But my next question is: did it help soybean prices? This
So you mean soybean or soybean oil?
soybean oil.
Yeah, yeah. So for soybean oil, you see now it's quite interesting because, as I was explained by the US players, the connection now is not perfect between soybean and soybean oil because of the biodiesel mandates.
Mm,
So, for example, when soybeans were getting super cheap, remember it was basically all this year. Um, Soybean oil was not getting extremely cheap or not cheap to the same extent because the demand for soybean oil is expected to be very high in the United States because of the biodiesel mandate. So it's
mhm.
basically breaking a bit the connection between soybean and soybean oil price. But of course, if soybeans become too expensive or very expensive, then soybean oil price grows indeed, right? But it doesn't necessarily work in the reverse direction. So what I'm trying to say, if US soybeans get cheap, it doesn't mean that soybean oil will get cheap. But if soybeans get very expensive, then soybean oil will get expensive. So hopefully, maybe it's not super intuitive, but that's how it is now. And as you can see, the price declined a little. So because of the palm oil price drop. But basically, at this point, soybean prices are still okay for soybean oil producers. They still, have good crush margins. So at this point, soybean prices are not seen as too expensive.
Yeah.
But if they grow more and to a good extent, then soybean oil might go up because of it as well. But
Mm,
last week it didn't affect soybean oil price actually.
yeah. 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 All right. Well, that's interesting. Thanks for that, Garmin. What's I would like to move on to sunflower, right? What's the state of sunflower markets? Were there any crop updates recently?
So for this purpose, I'm gonna share my report where I have some numbers. So I'm just gonna use it instead of like PowerPoint slide, right?
It's
Um,
already available on the platform. I see.
exactly. So for Russian sunflower oil crop, the forecast was reduced by one of the key agencies in Russia by nearly zero point 0.4 million metric tons. Significant decrease. That's because of the weather. And yeah, actually, it's 1 million metric tons. It's 1 million ton lower than it was expected in September. So that's quite a decrease. And for Ukraine, I would say the crop forecast stabilized a little because there were a lot of worries and discussions on our WhatsApp chat as well. But there was a conference in Ukraine last week, and I was
Ah, yeah.
updated on the results. And basically, yeah, the most pessimistic we heard was 10.5, and the most optimistic 12. Yeah, there is quite the range. It's a big range. But last year it was almost 13 million metric tons. Yeah, and I was basically told by various analysts that more realistic Ukrainian crop will be 11 million metric tons, which is still, yeah, almost 2 million metric tons below last year's crop. And
Wow.
the Russian crop could be, basically also 1 million metric tons below last year crop. So basically, the situation is still bad for crop. It's I mean, we knew it was bad, but it's getting worse.
Yeah.
And there is still some space in November to hear a little bit lower numbers. I would say
Okay.
closer to the end of November, it will stabilize a little, so people will get better idea on what's the crop. But at the moment, we can still get a bit of bad news
For buyers.
for buyers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for the update as well. Um, but yeah, so basically, this is also keeping sunflower and sunflower oil prices high. In this case, there is a correlation, not like in the case of soybean.
Yeah, of course. It's a good point that the correlation in this case is very strong, much stronger than with the
With
US.
soybean.
So of course, the correlation is still there. Don't get me wrong, but it's different than it was in previous years,
Yeah.
as you rightly noted. So if we go to our forward prices, and I'm going to choose sunflower oil crude 6 points price.
Yeah.
1 second. Okay. And I'm going to choose maybe 6 months to make it very dramatic. Yeah, so it's been growth since the point when we started receiving bad news around the crop. But, since previous week, prices followed strong palm oil decrease and also decrease in soybean oil, which helped to soften the situation for buyers a little bit. Now basically market participants are arguing whether the correction for sunflower oil prices began or not, right? Because that's what everyone is worried about, right? Because sunflower oil prices, they are the highest since the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine conflicts. And people want to understand, especially the buyers, but also the sellers, when the correction might start happening. So some people say it already started, but but the majority people will say with higher confidence that, maybe high chances that in December or January, there will be stronger correction. We don't know, because in November, we still might get a little bit of bad news for more for Russian crop than Ukrainian crop, but also maybe possibly Ukrainian crop in the next couple of weeks. So I would say in the next couple of weeks, there is still some upside risk because of the crop uncertainty, but maybe closer to December or January, prices might start getting lower. I would say that's the market sentiment. And in Q1 next year, Argentinian crop should be better and should be competitively priced against the Black Sea crop. And in Q1, there is a basically strong expectation by the market participants that sunflower oil will go down. But if I conclude, next couple of weeks could be still risky because of the crop. But after that, prices maybe should show some softening, especially in December, January.
Thank you, Gehrman. I was thinking, if you can stay in that screen 1 second, because I would like also to mention it's not something super new, but it's still quite new, and I think many of the probably people that are watching us today have not used it yet, which is the chat bot, right? So you see in the Gehrman screen there, if we click invest per chat bot there, basically our data science team has been working a lot to launch this, and now you can ask just questions to the chatbot, right? You can always reach out to us if the chatbot doesn't answer properly or you have more of a technical questions, but it's a great tool just to simplify things, to make it more efficient and easy to everyone. So feel free to play around with it as well. Again, this is not something like new. Perhaps some of you have already used it. Perhaps some of them you have not used it, but it works really well. So just give it a try.
Exactly. Yeah, especially if you get lost and if you don't know where to find some data, I think that's the most common case of usage.
Indeed.
If you're thinking where can I find specific price or production data
Indeed.
or a report, you can ask the chatbot.
I also use it myself, because I talk to so many people sometimes that I don't know anymore really specific questions, and it answers. It does a pretty good job. So thanks to data science team for such a nice announcement.
Exactly.
Mm,
And as we have so many commodities now and so much data, I think it's
yeah,
getting more and more important to navigate
indeed,
around the tool.
indeed, indeed, indeed. I mean, we will always have ourselves there to help you and the customer success team. But if we can simplify things, technology is our friend. So we will use it always if we can. Cool. Thank you, Garmin. To finalize, of course, let's quickly touch rapeseed oil. What are the key events in the rapeseed oil market? And also rapeseed.
Yeah, so for rapeseed oil, yeah, price also declined. So basically, this drop in palm oil and soybean oil impacted both sunflower oil and rapeseed oil.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and basically, now we see lower spread between spot positions and more deferred positions for later month. But yeah, in terms of key events, I would say the meeting between the Chinese president and Canadian prime minister didn't bring any results because, as you might remember, Canadian canola and canola products are currently blocked from the Chinese market. They cannot enter China because of the
Mm-hmm.
very high import duties and anti-dumping duties. And China is the key market for Canadian canola and canola goods. So this is quite bearish because for the rest of the countries, because Canada will try to sell more to other countries at discounts, including to Europe. And then Canadian canola shipments basically they normally increase in October, right? Which was last month. Yes, so we are checking some data now, and we think that probably more cargo will already arrive to the EU. I need to check. So this is one of the things. But in contrast, this is kind of a bit partly offset. So it's not as bearish because, yeah, Canadian canola exports to EU can be strong. But on the other hand side, Ukrainian supply was very weak in October, and Ukraine is obviously one of the key rapeseed suppliers, non-GMO rapeseed suppliers to Europe. And because of the some issues with the export procedures and export duties, Ukraine shipped 3 times less in October this year compared to the previous year. So this kind of balancing the situation with the Canadian canola. And I would say lastly, one of the key things that markets are discussing now is the rapeseed acreage in Europe, which is expected to grow this year. And I heard figures 5-7%. So if everything goes by plan with the weather, maybe next year there will be even stronger rapeseed crop in the European Union.
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Garmin, for the insights and all the explanations. Once again, really useful for me, and I'm sure for the rest of attendees as well. Um, Thanks for the webinar today. Hope you made it until the end. So now you can rest and recover. See you everyone in 2 weeks time, and have a nice evening.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Ciao ciao.